This is WHSV News 3 at 5.
Happy Memorial Day and good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gloria Balding. Our top story this evening is the Memorial Day holiday, a day for people to come together to remember those who sacrificed the most for our country. Well, Morgan, Bob, I have to say I'm channeling my best Brooke Burke-Charvet. Now, as we all know, she is the hostess of Dancing with the Stars right here on ABC. Now, if I have my best dancing dress on and my best dancing shoes, what could that mean? Only one thing. It is the big reveal tonight of the lucky 8 dancers for the 4th incarnation of Dancing with the Stars of the Berg. Now, in the studio, Gloria Balding, WHSV. So maybe you're interested about taking an MMA class, but are a little intimidated about taking that first jab? Well, have no fear. If I can do it, anybody can. Another reason for Ukraine's significance is its location. Take a look at this. There are many natural gas pipelines that run directly through the Ukraine. You can see them represented here in blue. For many people, Memorial Day is also about taking care of the veterans that have returned from war, and many people are looking for answers from the Department of Veterans Affairs. The agency has come under fire after allegations of excessively long wait times for veterans seeking medical care. Lawyers for former Governor Bob McDonald say rulings by the Supreme Court striking down limits on political spending help undermine the prosecution's case against the former Republican governor. And having all that information in one place makes your phone a prime target for identity thieves. One Valley baby is already saving for college after being born yesterday afternoon. WHSV's Channing Frampton joins us with a look at how Virginia 529 is helping one area family. A lot of us, including myself, played with remote control helicopters just like this one as a kid. Now technology similar to making these things fly could change how Virginia farmers do business.
Drones. The word conjures up images of Big Brother and war. But what about this? Farms and agriculture are the frontier in drone technology.
We see agriculture as a really big growth area.
The Federal Aviation Administration is so interested in using drones that it is sponsoring research at 7 locations around the country. One of them is at Virginia Tech.
Our mission is to help with the safe integration of unmanned aircraft into the national airspace, but we also look at other applications of unmanned aircraft, say in agriculture, environmental monitoring, emergency response.
Dr. Kevin Kokersberger heads the research into integrating drones into the national air system. He thinks high-value crops could be some of the first adopters of drone technology. Different and new research and application for drones means with a remote control like this, farmers can now see their fields like never before.
One of the main things that have been done in our lab by another master's student who just finished his thesis was looking at different tobacco crops as well as corn, kind of just identifying the health of those.
This footage from the tobacco study shows the field through different filters. Drones can give a picture of crop health the farmer's eye simply can't see. The president of Bluestone Vineyard in Rockingham County thinks drones could be put to use on farms.
You can look to see if there's sections that have disease. You can look to see what's ripening first. So you can operate much more effectively without going out there and stomping through 200 acres of grapes. You right away know where you need to either add water or where you need to spray.
Back in Blacksburg, it's these concerns that graduate students like Scott Radford are working to address.
Disaster situations is kind of what I want to use it for.
Radford and fellow tech students are exploring many applications for drones, like this helicopter drone that carries a robot to a site, lets the robot down to take soil samples, and flies back. The Japanese government inquired about using it after the Fukushima reactor meltdown to check radioactivity in the soil. Then there is this use. After a sinkhole destroyed the Corvette Museum, drones were used to assess the safety of the building. Even with the benefits of drones, researchers are concerned about privacy.
What we would like to do is focus on the applications of unmanned aircraft that do not infringe on privacy issues. So agriculture, where you have cooperative control on the ground. These are areas where we see a very good opportunity for unmanned aircraft.
The negative aspects of drones could overshadow the research into the benefits, but whether you love them or hate them, you could see more images like this from above Virginia farms.
Now, Virginia Tech's research for the FAA will not be done for a while. In the meantime, though, if you want to learn more about drones and farming, here's where you can go. The Virginia Cooperative Extension is holding 2 informational meetings. The first will take place on February 28th in Newmarket and then March 7th in Weir's Cave. And you must register in advance. You can head over to WHSV.com for information on how to register. And it is still against the law to fly drones in FAA airspace. Until that time, this is as likely as close as you're going to get to a drone. In the studio, Gloria Balding, WHSV.
Over to the gym, and that's how I got into it.
So maybe you're interested about taking an MMA class, but are a little intimidated about taking that first jab? Well, have no fear. If I can do it, anybody can.
1, back foot turns, front foot turns.
Believe me, MMA training is a workout, but is it safe?
Coming off this very rocky year for the president, what do you think he has to do to sell to the American people his second-term agenda?
Well, first of all, he has to let us know that he has a second-term agenda.
Both the U.S. and Russia digging in their heels over Ukraine. Secretary of State John Kerry arrived in the capital of Kiev with the promise of $1 billion in loans for Ukraine's interim government. Russia now essentially controls all of Crimea, and President Vladimir Putin did not rule out using force elsewhere in Ukraine. Putin says Russian forces were sent to the Ukrainian peninsula to protect Russian-speaking people there. But former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright has strong words about Putin's claim.
This is all made up, and I think it's part of a much longer-term plan that Putin has had, which is to try to recreate some form of relationship between Ukraine and Moscow. I think that is the tragedy that's going on. Putin is, in many ways, I think, delusional about this.
President Obama did say there are reports that President Putin is pausing now to reflect on what has happened. In the meantime, the U.S. is preparing a package of economic sanctions against Moscow, but the divisions within the Ukraine go back much further than recent events. Take a look at this. This map is a country divided by culture and language. In the West, closer to Europe, Ukrainian, seen here represented in orange, is the main language, and many of the people identify with Central Europe. Russian, represented in red, is widely spoken in parts of the East and South. In some areas, including the Crimean Peninsula, it's the main language. Another reason for Ukraine's significance is its location. Take a look at this. There are many natural gas pipelines that run directly through the Ukraine. You can see them represented here in blue. And Europe currently depends on Russia for about 40% of its natural gas, and about half of that flows directly through the Ukraine. And Ukraine's dependence on Russia is even higher. And according to Forbes, the impact this conflict has on natural gas prices could impact your wallet. We'll put the Ukraine crisis in historical perspective. That's coming up later in our one-on-one interview at 5:45. New at 5, just a few years ago, we didn't even know what smartphones were, and now we can't live without them. Our banking, social networking, and identities all available right here in the palm of your hand. Having all that information in one place makes your phone a prime target for identity thieves.
This is Edward P. Morgan in Washington. I have just come from the White House. The president is dead.
50 years ago today, President John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated in Dealey Plaza in Dallas.
Something has happened in the motorcade route. There's numerous people.
The shock of the event impacted everyone, including those that worked at TV3. David Mowbray was a film director at the original studio on Raleigh Pike. 50 years later, he still remembers the moment he learned the president was dead.
I took lunch break. It was late, and when I got home, I went into Harrisonburg, my mother's house, and she'd give me lunch. So that was interesting. I got there, and she said, "Oh, have you heard? Have you heard?" And I said, "No, what?" I just came from the station. They shot President Kennedy.
The assassination rocked the country. Kennedy, his family were beloved. His wife, Jackie, was forever the woman in pink reaching across the back of a Cadillac toward the Secret Service. In grief, the nation turned to TV news in ways they never had before. His son's final salute to his fallen father, watched by countless millions, beamed into their homes. The assassination changed news forever.
It was an all-new venture. I mean, that thing really popped out, and it made everybody, wow, this is unreal. I just couldn't believe that the president was shot.
Every detail of the case covered by news crews. It wasn't just an anchor reading the day's news in your home. Networks were bringing the world into your living room.
People in the news, they boosted their news. It was a little bit more than rip and read at a 15-minute period or something like that.
It also changed what viewers saw. After Kennedy's death, viewers wanted to see film of the scene, not just still images. How you watch the news is just one of the ways that Americans are still impacted by the death of President Kennedy.
Now, Gloria, I know you are a history buff. What did you learn doing this story?
Actually, when I was talking to David, he said, and I didn't know this, that the assassination of Oswald was live on TV, no delays at all. And that really, really surprised me. But we actually, this is just a way to show the impact. This is actually one of our coworkers brought this in. His father collected news clippings all the way back from 1963 when this happened, and he has, if you can see this, he has about, I would say, 15-20 pages of cardboard with just news clippings. That's how much the assassination impacted everyday Americans.